we can get rid of that one.
Just eliminate that for any future trips.
That we don't need it.
Here, so we're going to eliminate that. So we're going to get that.
I didn't use them.
We're going to eliminate that for this next year. So we're going to get rid of that.
We could probably eliminate 3 of those socks. We'll put it.
If you are looking to cut weight, cut bulk, and not sacrifice luxury, this video might be for you. So we just got back about a month ago from our trip to the Boundary Waters, and I've had the opportunity to air out all the equipment, clean all the dishes, scour all of the soot from the campfire. Today's video, we're going to cover all my gear, and we're going to create a pile over here of all the items that I don't need to take. And if you're taking a trip to the Boundary Waters anytime soon, maybe you'll learn a thing or two, and hopefully we can share together. All right, here's a quick disclaimer. None of the items in today's video are a sponsor of this channel. In fact, there may be a few name brand items in here, but most of the equipment that I get, I try to get off-market, off-brand, cheap as I can go, just to keep the trips affordable. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to talk about today is chairs. This I consider a luxury item, but I think it's a necessity. What's nice about these chairs is they're easy to set up. And they are comfortable to sit in. So the second chair we have to discuss is the canoe seat. This can also serve as a chair around the campfire. So if you're wanting to go really light, you could actually use this canoe seat as your chair. I know several folks do that as well. But that's the second chair. So 2 chairs. Could we get by with 1? Yes. But this is what I'm going to consider a luxury. 1 for the canoe, 1 for around the campfire. If we're going out on a solo trip, I would not take something this large. But having a group of 4 guys, it's nice to be able to have a large pot of water that we can get to boil and have sterilized, be able to cook with, and have something that has plenty of volume to it. It also works well as another container to store equipment. So within this, I just use a little bungee cord to keep the lid from falling off. But around the campfire, I have a set of gloves. I have a kitchen sink. This is just a Sea to Summit sink, but it actually works really well to be able to wash hands, put water in it, wash hands, and just have it sitting around the campfire. So it works out pretty good. I keep some towels and rags in here. Also, we keep bug protection. All right, let's talk bug protection real quick. Highly recommend investing into a thermocell. There's a couple different ones out there that you can get on the market, but it works out really well. The other thing I would do is I have on my side cargo pocket, I always have my bug net, because whether you're on the portage trail around camp or setting up your hammock, your tent, whatever it might be, it's nice to be able to have that bug protection. And a quick deploy that for our very first year, we didn't know what to expect. We got to camp, got set up, we went out fishing, and right at dark, we came back to camp, and it was almost like the mosquitoes just attacked us. We were not prepared, and so since then we have invested into getting bug protection. So a lighter, and I also keep just a jag of rope, extra piece of rope in here, so that way you just carry this around empty. It'll bang and be quite loud, but if you fill it with some of the gear that you're going to need around the campfire, it works out pretty well. All right, the next items we're going to talk about is our day pack. This is a vinyl type of a pack. It's just a cheap off-brand. You can tell it's pretty basic. It's a 20-liter pack, but it's pretty good material, honestly, for being an off-brand. But in here, I have my Nalgene bottle. That way I can be able to stay hydrated on the trip. I also have a rain coat. This is where I keep my knife. I've used quite a bit. Had some binoculars in here. I don't think I really used this, so we're going to put this in the pile that we don't need it. This here is an absolute gem of gear. This is the Be Free. This is a 0.6 liter bottle. I utilize this a lot. Even right in the canoe, I can just fill this Nalgene bottle, put up. That's really all I need for a water filtering system. Also, I have in here my first aid kit. So on this trip, I take 2 kits, one for the day pack, and then I have one also that always stays in the canoe. The other one stays at camp, just in case we need it. Fortunately, we didn't need that at all. All right, next let's talk fishing gear. So I have 2 tackle boxes. Usually I take one. This year I think what I learned is, yeah, I did take a second one. I actually filled it with jig heads and some spoons in here, thinking we were going to get in some new waters. Trying that, honestly, I never have luck with jig heads, and I barely ever have luck with spoons. So I'll probably go back down to 1 tackle box, so we can get rid of that one. I have the best of luck with crankbaits, and there's one lure particular that just hardly ever fails on me. Although I didn't catch many fish this year, I did catch a largemouth and a smallmouth and a walleye all on this jig, and for some reason that one is always my lucky jig. I think what we've learned from this one though is I can get by once again with just 1 tackle box, and we can cut that bulk and the weight from that second tackle box. Every year I end up taking 2 poles, and I don't know why, because I can only use 1 at a time anyway. I know it's for fear that one's going to break. I've never had that problem, so I'm definitely going to reduce that, and we're going to get rid of this big bulky fishing pole for next year.
Fishing poles. Just break them off.
1 fishing pole next year, that's it. So this is a telescoping pole. It collapses down really nice, reduces the bulk. It's fairly lightweight. The only problem with this is technically a bait casting rod, and I have put a spinning reel on it, and of course I'm using it really upside down. So I need to make an upgrade and actually buy a telescoping pole for a spinner reel. Definitely I like the lighter weight, got some protection here for the eyelets, but I think this works out really well for a trip where you're gone multiple days and you're going to be carrying some gear. So we're definitely going to be making an upgrade on this one for this next year. All right, the other thing we have here is our PFD. So this is the first trip. I bought this new this year. I used to rent it from the outfitter, but I actually enjoyed this one. It has a side pocket to put the map, or I mainly just kept my phone on here just for navigation and filming, but it worked out really well. Definitely a good purchase, and it dries out really well. I'll keep this for next year. Let's take a moment and talk about maps. The only upgrade I'm going to definitely be making this year is the outfitter provided this Ziploc bag, but it is not something that I would recommend. The thing you want to take is a compass. Although I haven't ever used that, I'm able to navigate pretty easy on the maps. Give you the general idea, but if you were ever to get lost, definitely you want to use a compass and have that with you. So maps is definitely something we're going to keep. We're going to upgrade the protector on that, and that'll be a new purchase for this next year's trip. All right, we moved over to the shade. It was getting pretty warm out there in the sun. Okay, next item we're going to cover is the large pack. On the outside here, let's start out with this little sit pad. This is just something that you can use this as just an area to sit. If you want to eliminate a chair, it works as well. But I use it basically just when I'm changing my wet shoes over to my dry shoes in camp. Just nice to have a dry surface to be able to keep all the debris off your feet and everything. Here on the side here, I have my secondary first aid kit, so that one always stays in camp, whereas the other one stays into the canoe. And then I also have a jag of rope to hang the bear bag, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, let's get started. This is just a Rockigator. I believe it's a 90-liter pack. Works really well. It's got hard vinyl. This is I believe, the second year that I've used it out on this trip, and I've used it for a few other trips, but real pleased with it. It's pretty durable. Haven't had any straps break or anything, so real pleased with this purchase. All right, let's start inside. First thing we're going to talk about is our foot gear for our clothing. So these are a pair of shoes that I use just only around camp. This company, I believe it was an Australian company. I understand that they went out of business, but it's just basically a very nice moccasin style, very lightweight, but did have some pretty good grip on the bottom, but I've worn that, as you can tell. So these, just having a light pair of shoes for around camp. And the shoes that I wear in the canoe are wet shoes. These are just some sandals that have some good traction on the bottom, but these get wet. I would recommend, if you're going to do something like this for your shoes, is just wear a pair of ankle socks. Just keeps all the debris and everything out between your toes, but it works out well. And put these out in the sun, they dry fairly quickly. This is the fourth year for this pair. I haven't had any problem with them, so I'll continue to use those. We're going to definitely keep those. All right, next up, inside the pack in a dry bag, this is my clothing bag. So within here, I keep all the clothing that I'm going to take on the trip, other than what I'm wearing that first morning. First in here is a kind of a chamois rag that dries really nicely, but just once it gets wet, it really works well as a good washcloth. To complement that, I have a towel. Go Vikings. Hope you have a great season. All right. You saw me wear this sun shirt. And then also I have my blue sun shirt on this trip. So one of these is more of a cotton material, the other one is more of a synthetic type of a material. But I prefer to wear sun shirts, as you see in most of my videos, just because it keeps the bugs off, and also provides that sun protection as well. But these work good. I like having shirts that have the hoodie on them. That way, when you're out in a canoe or out in the open sun all day, you're able to pull that hood up and protect the neck from the sun as well. So I take 2 sun shirts. So actually, with the one I have on, which actually is the one I used for sleeping at night, just putting a new fresh dry piece of clothing on at night to sleep in, to keep your skin off of the hammock, provides something, a barrier between that and your sleeping bag. Works out really well. So I have 3 sun shirts in total. And then I have the pants I have on, which these are just kind of I think they're a cool brand I purchased from REI. Have the zip off legs, and then I have a second pair of pants that I wear around camp, just as that second pair of clothing if I'm washing. These are kind of oversized for me, so I'm constantly trying to pull up the pants, but they're just very lightweight, so that's why I take them as well. Let's see what else. I didn't use this much at night, but in the cooler climates, I like to wear just a beanie on there, just to keep the temperature in your head, to keep that from releasing. Looks like I have a pair of boxer brief Tommy John underwear. This is my second pair, and then one I have, and I just wash those every other day and rotate those, so you really don't need any more than 2 pairs of underwear on at least a week-long trip. That might be different if you're going longer. All right, so the other thing we have here is socks, and I think this is an area that I could probably reduce the amount of I have way too many socks here. I have 6 pairs of socks. That's unnecessary. I think you have 3 pair, you'll be fine. Just to rotate those out, dry those out at the end of each day. There's plenty of sun up there, so I wouldn't worry about not getting those dry. So it works out pretty well. So we could probably eliminate 3 of those socks. We'll put that in the do not bring pile. All right, I do have 1 pair of long socks. These are just insulated or not insulated really, but just some thicker a pair of socks, dry socks. Around the campfire at night, these are nice to have because the mosquitoes will come out and they will bite your ankles if they are exposed. So having a nice pair of long socks to have works out pretty well. I just think all you need is one pair, that's all. So I just keep these always in my gear bag just in case we need those. Last thing I have in here is just a buff neck gaiter that I can be used either as a quick rag or just cool down. You can dip it in the water, put it around your neck. So these are pretty versatile. So I only have one of those in there. So that's all of my clothing that I take on a week-long trip. Our tarp, set this up. We have 2 tarps in here. One goes over the hammock. The other one is just a spare, just to have around camp, just protect from the sun, and also if it were to rain, which we lucked out on this trip with no rain, but we did need the shade. It was we had a few campsites that the way it was set up, where our kitchen and everything, sitting area, we didn't have any type of shade, so we were able to rig up some shade for that. But I recommend on your tie-offs is to keep your strings on there, so especially if you were trying to get out of the rain and you need to sit something up, the last thing you want to do is worrying about tying all the ends off. Just leave those in there so that way you can quickly tie them to the tree and you got yourself a quick shelter. So I take 2 tarps, one for the hammock, one for the campsite. It works out pretty good. All right, let's get into our rest of the pack here. We have a pillow. This is absolutely considered a luxury item. I do have a smaller inflatable pillow. It really packs down nicely, but it's just not very comfortable. So this is another, I would consider a luxury item. So it's nice to be able to have that in the hammock. Bag, even though we know that this is going to protect from the weather, put my clothing in a dry bag and then my sleep system in a dry bag inside the pack, just for that added protection. All right, within here we have our hammock. This is just the Eno double nest hammock. I've had this for maybe a year now. It worked out pretty good. However, decided after this year's trip I'm going to be upgrading my hammock. We'll talk about that in a future episode. But the hammock, I have some packs here that have the cordage in here to tie off. Sometimes when you're setting up a hammock, you don't know exactly what type of lengths of rope you need. So I have 2 of these little packs full of different lengths of cordage and try to make that work. So my first hammock was Madeira, and the straps from that hammock actually are pretty durable, so I've kept those. So I have a bag of my hammock straps that I use. And I have left over from that first hammock is a Madeira bug net. You see on this trip I have a pretty large bug net for the hammock, and this has worked out really well. It's kind of bulky, but to keep away from the bugs, it is definitely well worth it. So it's still, once again, might be making an upgrade on that. This is my sleeping bag. This is just a, let's see, it's called Nature Hike Outdoors. Pretty small. I think it's rated to 20 degrees. It's lightweight, down sleeping bag, packs really nice. And the stuff sack really gets it down nicely. So I really enjoy this as my sleeping bag. We'll definitely be keeping that for future use. And then the last thing we have in here is just my toothbrush, any meds I need at night, toilet paper, dude wipes, dental floss, and I also bring with me just an Axe spray deodorant just to take the edge off. You're out there multiple days in a row. There are times where you can't stand your own stink. Definitely a luxury item. underneath here, I have my Wise Owl underquilt. I used this for the first couple of nights this last time, but as it got warmer, I stopped using this. But it's nice to have, especially in colder temperatures, but as you can see, it's pretty bulky, so we're going to eliminate that for any future trip, because I think we're going to be making a hammock upgrade. Alright, up next is probably one of our bulkiest items that we take up there, and our trip is this blue barrel. This actually stores our kitchen, our food, our water storage, several other items. It's just one of those things where if we could figure out a way to pare it down to get everything into our portage pack and eliminate this food barrel, this might be something that we don't need. We'll see how that goes this next year in planning. But let's go ahead and open it up. It utilizes this metal seal on it, so you don't want to break that, because if you break that out there or bend it and it doesn't work, then the whole system is kind of worthless. All right, it is nice to have the lid on here. You can prep some food on it. You just want to make sure it's good and washed off, so that way it doesn't attract any critters or bears or anything out there, any other wildlife you don't want in camp. All right, in the barrel itself, I do keep a saw for processing wood. It's nice to have this nice little one here, and I also use the ferro rod on the end to start fires. However, on our trip when we go up there, I don't have to worry about it, because Jay, who is our fire tender, he's the one who processes the wood and gets fires going every evening, every morning. So honestly, I didn't even use this on the trip, so I could probably just eliminate that for any future trips. All right, next I have this dry bag, which this was a last minute purchase before we went up there, because I did purchase some frozen New York strip steaks and then some smoked sausages. I put them in this bag for the first couple days that we utilized that, and then just some extra food. So this is one way you can store your food, is in a dry sack like this. It's a little bit reinforced. This is one option. The other option, which is new this year for the U.S. Forest Service, or Superior National Forest, I should say, is they require you either to hang your food with using rope and a protective bag, or you have to have all your food inside of a bear vault. This is the one that they approved for this year. You can't just store it in this blue barrel. That's what we've done in the past. So you have to have it in here, or you have to hang the food. So I got the largest one I could get, and honestly, for our group, it's not big enough. So we used a combination of this and hanging our food for the first couple days. Inside the bear vault, it's just, there's not enough room. Even if you had dehydrated food, we had coffee, we had some other items in here, it just won't all fit in here for the type of trip that we're taking. But it is an option for you. If you're going solo, you probably could fit all the food you need inside this. It's just, once again, it's very bulky. What's nice about utilizing a bag like this to store your food is throughout the week, when you have less food in there, the less bulk it creates for you. However, you do have the bulk of the rope that you have to suspend it on, but we used a combination of both this time, and trying to figure out what's the most efficient. So I'm thinking that next year we're just going to utilize this for everything, for all of our food. Might have two of these, and works out really well for us. So inside here we have trash bags for all the trash that we pack out in there. This here was my secondary source of water. Honestly, I don't think I need this at all. I have the Nalgene bottle we talked about earlier, and the Be-Free water filter system. I think I can eliminate that, so we're going to get that into the do not take pile. All right, next up is our water filter system. This is the second, maybe third year I've used this filter system. I really, honestly, it works out well for water storage, but the way the system utilizes these life straws, these are just off-brand life straws filter system. I'm not confident in that that these work, just because stuff gets filtered in there. If something gets blocked, the system doesn't work. So the whole thing, if this life straw doesn't work, then this doesn't work. So it's great for water storage, but like I said, I'll probably be upgrading my water filter system to the KD9, maybe the 3-liter or the 6-liter bag. I like that filter system that they have on there better than this one. This is just an off-brand, I think. 6-liter membrane solutions, it's called. But this is all bulky too, whereas the other one is just something that is much easier to use. So we're going to eliminate that. And I got other pieces here. Coffee is a precious commodity for us out there. French press, you put your coffee inside of here, fill it up with water, put that top on there, let it steep for 2 minutes, and then push this plunger down, and that will filter out the coffee. And it does taste good, don't get me wrong, but then you just pour it out and you have your cup. The problem is you have all that bulk of the grounds still in the bottom. You gotta wash them out. One benefit of this is I do like the fact that you can unscrew the filter, put the filter in the bottom, all the way down, put your coffee cup inside that, and then put your top back on. So you have a self-contained system there. So that's pretty handy. I just don't think I'm going to move forward with that for this next year. So we're going to get rid of that. All right, speaking of coffee, to replace that, this is what I have done in previous years. So I have a bag of coffee grounds. I think I must have used it all because I don't see it in there. But I have these little coffee filters that just fit right over the top of your cup. Put your coffee in there, and then it will do the same things, just pour over coffee, and that works out pretty well. And then once you're done with these, then you can just empty out the grounds into the fire and then throw these away. All right, the other thing is just for a quick coffee setup. You've seen me do this, is I utilize this little sterno can and the packable. This is an off-brand stove, packs down real nicely. It can go into that, and you saw me utilize this a couple times when we just want to do a quick coffee or a quick warm-up. Works out really well, packs down nicely, so definitely going to be keeping this. Use this on multiple trips prior to our trip out there, so the fuel is very efficient. The can itself is kind of bulky, but I guess it'll be worth the luxury of that. All right, next up is our oil. So this is my original Nalgene bottle that I just converted into the oil container, because obviously on this type of a trip we're trying to catch walleye and any other type of a fish to have a fish fry. So this works out well for setting that up, or for just putting oil on the griddle for pancakes. But we didn't even use half of that bottle, so we might be able to eliminate the size of this for bulk, but we'll see on that for next year. But that's worked out really well. And the type of oil that I use for that is just peanut oil, just like you would if you were going to make popcorn or something like that. Works out just fine. Okay, this was a piece of equipment that I upgraded to this right before the trip. It's just a small kitchen utensil pack. Got this at REI. I've modified it a bit. I have a wooden stir spoon in there, just a less bulk. Worked out really well. I brought a spatula. You'll see in the video I used a different type of a spatula, and I can eliminate that spatula and just use this one that comes in this kit. Folds, works out pretty good. I did use this a few times. These are just tongs that if we need to move something around on the plate, it works out. So this folds down nicely. I like the concept. This is really small. This is my spork. I got a fork on one side, spoon on the other. One's titanium, the other three were plastic. They all ended up breaking. So I told the guys in the group next year they get to bring their own and they can upgrade to titanium if they'd like. We actually found a fork in one of the campsites, a plastic fork, so we washed it up. I put it in here as a secondary fork as well. For our pots and pans, I also have handles. I have an MSR kit for the pots and pans, and so that works out well, and I put that inside the kit. The other item in here is just a little scouring pad, and then I added these. These are just little carabiner hooks. If we needed to hang something to dry, it's just extra in there. I probably could eliminate that. Let's throw that over into the other pile because I didn't use them, and those little carabiners, although they are small, have a little bit of a sinker weight to them. So, and then here's the scouring pad. This is nice. This gets all the utensils down and packs into this small kit, so that worked out really well. Definitely going to be keeping that and using that in the future. Do have some other rags. It's nice to be able to have to dry dishes. Just wipe your hands after you wash them. And then let's see. I think that's what we have in there. The other piece is I have a roll of plastic bags in here, but then also some tin foil. Tin foil, the only time we would ever use that is if we were to catch some trout. It's just a very good, tasty way to prepare the trout, roll it into the tin foil, put it on the coals of the fire, and it works out very tasty for that. However, it's the bulk that you have to think about in carrying out that garbage when it's done, because you don't want to leave that in the fire pit. Alright, the other piece here is we have tongs for our pots if we needed it. I probably could eliminate this because I have that other piece for the MSR kit, so we'll get rid of that. And then a knife. I keep this folded in here. I probably don't need this because I have my other knife we covered earlier, but this one is sharper to have, so I probably could get rid of this as well. Less bulk. I just protect the blade because it is sharp in this towel and in this pack. So I think we emptied that, so I think we could just eliminate this whole thing. We don't need it. We will keep this, and we'll keep these rags. Alright, let's talk about our pots and pans. This is an MSR kit. This is nice. I think all three of the pots are in here. Downside to this is the lids don't stay on, so I've taken these little bungee cords to keep them on, to keep it all contained. But inside here, there are two other smaller pots, and worked out really well. Within those pots, I have a scouring pad, another little washcloth if we're doing dishes. That all stays in there. I have 4 bowls. Most of our food we had went out of these types of bowls. However, I think we may be doing some upgrades on this, and maybe this will just be our only bowl. We'll see how that works. So there's 3 pots in here. This is the smaller one. You saw me use this several times just to warm up water for coffee. And then there are 2 other sizes. Within this, I have other rags. I think I had too many rags this trip, so we're going to eliminate those. The other thing is, I'm pretty sure there was never a time I used all 3 of these. I think I can get by with the 2 smaller sets. So we're going to eliminate the bigger pot and just keep the 2 smaller pots. So one bulk item we don't need. I think this will work out well. I put these rags in here just having extras, but it also keeps it to where these things don't bang around and make a bunch of noise too. So I think we can eliminate that for next year's trip. The only thing I wish is these lids just stayed on there by themselves without the bungee cords, but I think that actually shrunk that cook kit down quite well. All right, inside the rest of here, as you saw, we do more of a patrol type kitchen setup. We have 4 different plates. They're nice to have, but I think we can eliminate these. If I had something a little bit smaller than this, I think I would keep it, but honestly, I think these are too much bulk, even though they pack down well. They're just, in my opinion, I think we can eliminate them, so we'll get rid of those. All right, for cleaning our fish, we had this colander. I think Brian brought this his first year. It's kind of nice to have when you're cleaning fish in here, but honestly, I don't think we used this maybe once or twice this year. I think most of the fish that we caught, we just cleaned it and used plastic bags and put it right in there. Worked out well, so we can eliminate that. All right, the last item in here is our skillet. I've had the skillet for many, many years. It is heavy and it is bulky. It's hard to keep it seasoned. It's not cast iron. I do like the flexible handle on it to be able to fold in. It did have another piece on here before. I actually cut that off because it didn't fit in the barrel as nicely. I think I'm going to be making an upgrade on this on our skillet pan. This one seems quite heavy. I think there are lighter weight ones that do just as well and might be a little bit smaller surface area to eliminate some of that bulk. So I think we're going to get rid of this for this next year, so we don't need that. All right, I think that covered everything inside the barrel. So this pile represents everything that you do not need to take on a canoe trip. It represents extra weight, extra bulk, and all the luxury items that you do not need to take. However, the reality is, if we can eliminate half of this, we're going to be sitting much prettier when we have to take this on the next 200 rod portage. All right, that's going to cut it for this video. Thank you to all the new subscribers and the likes, comments on the recent series. We've got maybe 1, maybe 2 more camp outs, outings this late summer, early fall. Then we're going to get ready for deer season. So appreciate everybody growth of the channel. It's been fun to do for you. Remember to make every outing in the outdoors an adventure. We'll see you in the next. Oh man, now I got to take this stuff all the way back to the truck. Load number 2.